Hey everybody, it's me again, and congratulations, Greta Gerwig. You have single handedly alienated so many fans, and you've made completely no sense in this. So, I'm going to take you back a little bit and share with you about my experience with the stories of the Chronicles of Narnia. I grew up with them, and I loved them very much. I I grew up with I originally grew up with the 1979 cartoon, where I that most people nowadays don't know about, but you can find it on YouTube. Thank you for the downloads. And then when 2005 rolled around, I was excited to see that Narnia was going to be in theaters, a live action. I also saw the BBC one as well, and it was good, and it also was really intense for what it was. But yeah, I was excited to see the 2005 movie, and by all accounts, you could say it was a remake slash retelling, whatever you like to call it nowadays. But the only concern I had was it was done by Disney, and I was 10 at the time, but I pretty much was sure that talking about God was not something that Disney typically did. So I kept thinking, are they going to alter the message? Are they going to water it down? Are they going to forget about it? But amazingly, they didn't. And I loved it. Even the scenes that they added on, like the fox having a major role or the confrontation at the waterfall, etc. I loved every moment of it. I There were moments where I kept thinking, that's not in the book. That's not in the book. And by the way, Mama did read the book to me every night at one point. Or she spent nights reading the book to me and then read Prince Caspian to me. So I knew what was in the book and what wasn't in the book. And I knew that the confrontation at the waterfall was not in the book, and I knew that the beavers escaped long before the wolves made it to the dam to tear it apart. But yeah, I didn't mind those scenes because you know what? They still stuck with the script that C.S. Lewis wrote. And they did not alter any of the themes. And they kept every single, just about almost all of them, even right down to having Aslan um, be sacrificed in Edmund's place and then resurrect. Sorry for the spoilers. I, he was a clear representation of Jesus. And even by the third movie, I was grateful that they kept the very most important dialogue, even though I didn't really care for that movie, mainly because they sucked all the fun out of that book. But I might talk about it another time, but forgivably, they kept the final line that Aslan gave. Well, one of the final lines that Aslan gave, where he directly tells Lucy and Edmund, in your world, I have another name. You must learn to know me by that name. This is the very reason why you were brought to Narnia, that by knowing me here for a little, you may know me better there. So yeah, I all those years ago, we got this fantastic movie, a decent sequel, and a third movie that really missed the mark on how much fun Voyage of the Dawn Treader should have been. But I'll talk about that another time, perhaps. Here we're going to focus on this. And when I heard that Narnia, one of the things I really, really hoped was that Disney would go forward with all 7 stories. I wanted to see the Silver Chair done better. I'm sorry. The BBC version, they did their best on so much, but the Lady of the Green Kirtle is one of the hammiest actresses I have ever seen, and that's putting it nicely. I don't think she was good. Not really. I like she'll be low woman and then scream at the top of her voice in the next minute. I was like, did you go to acting school or something? But I know that some people like her. Good for them. Not my cup of tea. And most of the other actors were underplaying it. Except for Puddleglum. I liked him. It was good. And that final line that was supposed to be in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader was shoehorned into the silver chair. It doesn't work. And on top of that, we did not get the chance to see the amazing fight scene between the resurrected Prince Caspian, Eustace, and Jill um, fighting the bullies. And it was, it's a scene I'd love to see in a movie. And yeah, I wanted to see the silver chair done better. I wanted to see the magician's nephew. I wanted to see the horse and his boy, and especially see um, the last battle, which by far is my favorite book out of the seven. I There's just something about each of the books where, I mean, starting from the magician's nephew to the last battle, where each one gets progressively better than the last, and I love how it does that. So when I heard that they were going to cancel the series, I felt so bad and so bummed. I mean, this is something I was rooting for a reboot on because I want to see all seven stories. I really do. But it took so long and waited, and then eventually I heard the news that Narnia, after all, was getting a reboot. You can imagine my excitement about that. I'm like, yes, yes, but please do it right, please do it right, please do it right. And then I heard Greta Gerwig was going to do it. And I was laughing my butt off because just say that out loud to yourself. Barbie director doing the Narnia series. It just sounds hilarious. But then again, Barbie was a winner of a few Oscars, and Barbie, well, say what you will about the plot and the message. I haven't seen it, but the production looked amazing. And the acting was pretty good, at least from what I saw in the trailer. Still bummed we did not get that "Come on, Barbie, let's go party" song. You should have put that in there. But I digress. Hmm. So, I heard that and I'm like, okay, I'll give her a chance, even though everybody, and I mean a lot of people on the internet, were calling woke on this and going, no, she's going to progress it. She's the worst choice for the director to direct this. And I'm like, mm, she could do it as long as she stays faithful, as long as she stays faithful to the series, as long as she doesn't try messing around with the characters, as long as she doesn't mess around with the plot. Let's see how she handles the Calormans. Maybe she could do that better. Let's see how she handles the themes. As long as she keeps the themes that C.S. Lewis stood for intact, then I'd be for it. And then just recently, I saw a casting choice for Aslan, and they picked Meryl Streep, and I got enraged at first, but then somebody told me, "Oh, that's just an April Fool's joke," and I'm like, "Okay, good one, you guys got me." But then my older sister texted me and said, "It's not a prank. They're really considering it," and really, just really, you're going to cast Meryl Streep as Aslan the Great Lion. Why? Just why? I Now I will be fair and say that I do like Meryl Streep. I think she's a great actress, not just a talented actress, a great actress. But there's a few things that bug me about her getting the role of Aslan to begin with, if she accepts the role. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's been confirmed um, whether or not she's official. But um, here are a couple problems I have with it. One of them is um, if you were to take out the male factor of Aslan, it still doesn't make any sense because Meryl Streep does not have that deep, rich voice that drives jitters out of anyone who approaches. And also, I don't know about you, but anytime I see Meryl Streep, all I see is Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada. I mean, she's more fit for a villain. Like, why didn't you cast her as the White Witch? I mean, think about it. Meryl Streep as the White Witch, she would be hands down perfect. And on top of that, I love Tilda Swinton, but Meryl Streep could be even better than Tilda Swinton. I mean, that's not to say that Tilda Swinton was bad or anything, not at all. I mean, she was perfect. In every conceivable way, except that her skin was not white as salt, just white as in peach. I, but yeah, can't you see Meryl Streep as the White Witch? That'd be perfect. I, and why didn't they do that? I, instead they're looking at, trying to remember what her name is. Oh, Charlie XCX, who is a British singer. I, I, okay, I have no idea what to think of that because I don't know how her acting is. Unfortunately, she's been in Angry Birds and Ugly Dolls, two movies I refuse to see. I, I refuse. I don't want to see Ugly Dolls because I don't really care. And I refuse to see Angry Birds because the trailers absolutely disgusted me. And if you want more details about it, then go to Joshua Oro's review of it. I He's seen it and he knows better about it. But I digress. So um, yeah, she's a better choice I for the White Witch. But let's get to the bigger things, okay? On why this bothers me greatly. Um, Greta Gerwig said she'd make an effort to stay faithful, and this is clearly not faithful. I mean, Aslan is meant to be male. That's another thing. Aslan is a male lion. And I, you don't believe me? Don't, I, I, oh, let's take a look at, C.S. Lewis's description in The Magician's Nephew, since this is what Greta Gerwig wants to do. Okay, it was a lion, huge, shaggy, and bright. It stood facing the rising sun, its mouth wide open in song. It was about 300 yards away. I, oh, and skipping ahead, okay. And the deepest, wildest voice they had ever heard saying, Narnia, 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 awake. I so yeah, this is not a voice of a female lion, and constantly the phrase has been going in. He's not a tame lion, and it's been made clear that these are. I mean that he. I mean that Aslan is a he, and heck, here's his description in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when the Pevensey children encounter him. But as for Aslan himself, the beavers and the children didn't know what to do or say when they saw him. People who had not never been in Narnia sometimes they think that a thing cannot be good and terrible at the same time. If the children had ever thought so, they would be cured of it now. For when they tried to look at Aslan's face, they just caught a glimpse of the golden mane and the great, royal, solemn, overwhelming eyes. Then they found they couldn't look at him and went all trembly. And then down to, um, welcome, Peter, son of Adam, said Aslan. Welcome, Susan and Lucy, daughters of Eve. Welcome, he beaver and she beaver. His voice was deep and rich, and somehow took the fidgets out of them. They felt glad and quiet, and it didn't seem awkward to them to stand and say nothing. That's the kind of voice that we are looking. I mean, that is that Aslan has. And even if you were to cast a female character, Meryl Streep does not have that kind of voice. And we really have no shortage of male voices like that. Now, typically, when I think of somebody, a man with a deep, rich voice, the first thing that would come to mind is James Earl Jones. I know that most people say Liam Neeson, and Liam Neeson nailed it. Though I still think Stephen Thorne from the 1979 cartoon sounded more what was described in here, deep and rich and drives the jitters out. But if we were to cast anybody nowadays, I here are a few here are a few guys with deep, rich voices that could nail the part of Aslan if you would ask them to. Um, let's see. Um, trying to remember. I one of the obvious ones is Morgan Freeman. I, I, how could you not? James Earl. No, sorry. Jeremy Irons is what I meant to say. Yeah, I think Jeremy Irons has the deep, rich voice and could play the part of a tutor every now and then. Or how about Patrick Stewart? He's definitely got that deep, rich voice. Benedict Cumberbatch. That's a winner right there. Or Keith David. I maybe Barry White. How about John Goodman? I don't know if I'd go with Patrick Warburton. Nah. I mean, maybe. You guys tell me. Would Patrick Warburton work better? I, but I digress. But yeah, these are voices that would work better for this kind of role. And there's a reason that C.S. Lewis made Aslan male and not female. He gave a reason for everything. I and Tolkien did too. But C.S. Lewis, he was an Oxford professor, and he had been tutored by a no-nonsense tutor. I and he would learn to find reason in everything. And I think if he saw this casting choice today, he would pretty much say, I mean, he would pretty much ask Greta Gerwig, okay, you want to make Aslan one of my characters female. Why do you want to do that? What purpose does it serve to make Aslan female. And I can't really see a purpose for Greta Gerwig to do that. My older sister actually commented saying that in the shack, when they made God the Father a woman, they did it for a reason. It was because the main character in there needed a mother figure because he had so much father trauma. The Pevensey children do not have any father trauma. The only trauma they have is World War II. And, well, in the movie, the father is mostly absent. But, yeah, they give no reason for it. I mean, if this is to be politically motivated, why? What what are you trying to prove in this? What are you trying to prove with making Aslan female? Are you trying to make more female leads that actually, I mean, that get stuff done? You don't need to do that because the series already has that covered for you just in later books. I What are some examples that I am thinking of? Well, we've already got Polly Plummer I in The Magician's Nephew, who helps Diggory out of temptation. A couple times. You got Susan Pevensey, you got Lucy Pevensey, you've got Jill Pole, you got Mrs. Beaver, you got Aravis from The Horse and His Boy. You got Ramondu's daughter a from Voyage of the Dawn Treader, a and so on and so forth. Disney updated Susan by giving her more fighting skills, which I was perfectly fine with because they didn't deviate from her character arc or what she could do. And even though Father Christmas had warned her warned her and Lucy that battles are ugly affairs, I, she would still shoot arrows if she needed to, and it worked in the movie's favor. And Jill Pole would shoot arrows later in the last battle. And you know what? If you want another fighter character that could work with your agenda, well, she doesn't entirely fight, but you got Aravis, who escapes her family and escapes from an arranged marriage in her brother's armor. There's your there's your character that gets stuff done. There are your characters that get stuff done. You don't need to turn Aslan female in order to do that. And Jesus is male. Why do I compare? Why do I bring Jesus into this? Because Aslan is a direct representation of Jesus. I don't believe me? I'm going to read a quote from C.S. Lewis when talking about this, because he was not making an allegory out of he was not making Aslan an allegory about Jesus. He was directly making him Jesus in this. Here's a quote: "If Aslan represented um, the immaterial deity, he would have been an allegorical figure. In reality, however, he's an invention giving an imaginary answer to the question, what might Christ become like if there were a world like Narnia, and he chose to be incarnate and die and rise again in that world as he actually has done ours? This is not an allegory at all." Unquote. So, yeah, I and also to quote Ben Shapiro, I the fact that they were making Aslan be played by a woman, possibly, and then on top of that, you're having a woman play Jesus Christ Superstar as Jesus Christ. You don't get away with this in other religions. Why are you doing it to this one? So, yes, what are you doing, Greta Gerwig? Why? And if you're expecting to get money out of this, you're going to lose. I I find it amazing that Disney somehow managed to respect the original series, and that was back in 2005. And it was during a time I did not think they were allowed to, but somehow they did it. I but here, um, why are we not allowed to respect the original source material? I really, why? I mean, I'm all for change. I don't hate change, but I believe there should be a reason for change too. You need to find a reason to make it work. C.S. Lewis operated on logic and theology. He did not just let his imagination fly with no reason. He had reasons for everything. He would want to know a reason for this. And I want to know a reason for this. And I want to know if you're going to continue with this. Because actually, if you do continue with this, if you do make Aslan female, then you've lost me. You've lost me. You've destroyed my expectations. And seriously, you could do a lot better than this. That's my thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you like Narnia? Are you excited for the series? Is there something I missed about it? Do you think Meryl Streep could work as Aslan, or do you think that she shouldn't be cast as Aslan at all? What are your thoughts?